Rob and Slim Show.
How are you? It's Carly.
Carly, how you doing? Carly Kingsley.
Good. How are you? Yes. How are you guys?
Good, good.
All right.
What's that?
Said, how are you guys? Thanks for having me on.
No problem. Thanks for coming on. You're a writer, chef, and podcaster from New York City.
I'm kind of in between right now. I'm actually living in Connecticut. A little bit in the area. I spent a long time in Boston, which I saw you guys are in.
We're in Jersey. We're in Jersey.
Oh, you're in Jersey. There was something that said Boston, so okay.
Huge fan base in Boston.
We IPM Nation we're on is out of Boston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what it was. I got excited though because I lived in Boston for 7 years, and I love that place.
Yeah, it's a nice city.
And now that you know we're in New Jersey, you're just gonna hang up on us, right?
Sorry.
Jersey's great. Jersey's wonderful.
How long have you been a chef for?
You know what? I'm 29 now. I've been working in restaurants since I was 14 years old. My first job was in a breakfast restaurant. I was a dishwasher, so I know all those chefs out there can appreciate that. So ever since then, I've always been working in the kitchen.
Okay.
And I actually went to school at Boston University. So again, that's how I actually made my way up to Boston.
Okay.
I studied journalism, and then kind of decided that I just love food, and went to a culinary school. After that, I was a personal chef for a while.
Oh wow.
And, keep it moving. Keep it creative.
What is your specialty in the kitchen?
Oh man, whatever you want. What's your favorite? That's what it is.
Hot Pockets.
Hot Pocket? Oh yeah. Oh man, I cook a mean Hot Pocket. You know how some people like overdo it where the cheese melts out of the side?
I always do that.
What about ramen noodle? I've been trying to cook the perfect like ramen noodle for years, and I just can't get it right. It's either too soggy or too hard. Like, what do I do?
First of all, I fucking love ramen. Not really the packets, but like the college ramen, but real ramen is amazing. I actually got into an argument with somebody else because ramen's like a real like. It's a real thing. It's not just the packets from the grocery store.
They
right?
have restaurants over in like Korea and stuff. A couple of my buddies that were in the military said it's the best.
It is. I've always said that my dream is to live in like Tokyo for like 6 months and just eat my way through it. But I got into an argument with one of my friends where she could not get it through her head, where I was trying to explain to her that ramen's just not the packets that you get in a grocery store. Which there's nothing wrong with. If that's your thing, man, hey, go to it. To each their own stuff. But we went around in a circle for an hour and a half. I'm like, no, they've made whole restaurants out of this. Like, it's a real thing. It's a cultural thing. It's not just this thing you buy at the grocery store for 25 cents. I'm sorry.
It's like you were challenging her reality.
Yeah, you fucked her whole world up.
She didn't dig it. Yeah, she didn't dig it, so I had to stop. I was like, all right, that's cool. Yeah, beef or chicken? Which one do you want?
I like the shrimp.
Spicy chicken.
Because the shrimp is the only one that comes with the shrimp. The chicken doesn't have chicken pieces.
Yeah, you're right.
The beef doesn't have little beef chunks.
That.
Like the shrimp's got the shrimp. So that's a real deal.
I feel like that should be all of our new thing. We got to educate the college kids how to eat. I mean, we're doing college food right now. This is great.
What would be something you would tell the college kids?
There's I don't even know. Oh man. Enjoy not getting fat on the food you're eating until you get older. Like, don't you remember the days you could eat whatever you wanted and drink all day and you wouldn't gain a single pound?
Yeah,
I'm still there.
I still do that. Yeah,
that's
Are you still on my? Oh,
I'm the same age as you, and I can eat like shit for months and not gain.
He does.
A pound.
I've seen him eat literal shit.
I'm hanging up. I'm done. I'm disgusted now. I'm disgusted.
All I eat is chicken nuggets and pizza rolls.
Yeah, just McDonald's for 6 months straight.
And tapeworms.
Every meal.
Tapeworms.
And tapeworms.
Oh my God, what did I do today? I was telling somebody, I was actually having the same conversation. I was like, remember the days I could just drink like a handle of Jack Daniels a day and just drink all day, eat shitty food, be great, feel great about myself. I was like, I literally, this is not even a joke, and this is pathetic and terrible, but I'm so fine with sharing it. I literally have been having back spasms all day because I tried to put a sock on while I was standing up. And I was like, you're getting old when? Is this, this is disgusting to me.
That's when.
I can't do anything anymore.
I get like, as I've gotten older though, like pains, they don't go away. They'll last for like weeks. When you were in your 20s, it lasted like a day. So yeah, you can tell when your shoulder hurts for a week straight.
Oh man.
I got one of those.
But you don't.
I was gonna say I got one of those pains right now in my wrist. It's been hurting me all day. Like I woke up with this fucking pain in my wrist. I'm like, I have no fucking clue where this came from. I don't know what I did.
You just woke up.
I just woke up with this fucking pain in my wrist, and I'm like, what the fuck did I do?
Yeah, it's good. You're getting there, bro. You're getting to that point.
And you're rolling through the catalog of what you did last night. Like,
what did I do to my wrist?
Yeah. I thought I replayed my entire night.
What is something, Karly, that you thought would be disgusting food-wise that you were impressed that it wasn't?
Food-wise, people are going to hate me for saying this. I do really enjoy things, I know we talked about it on my show, that are quite controversial. Veal for me.
I love a veal cutlet. I love a veal cutlet. Oh, my God.
And you're from Jersey, too. Are you Italian? You're Italian?
What's that?
Are you an Italian?
Yeah. Yes. I got the Guinea family.
Because an Italian will love a veal cutlet. But then there's other people that think it's the most disgusting thing ever.
It's pretty inhumane.
I understand but it's, oh my God, it's so good. And I've gotten into many a moral fight with people because they say like it's disgusting for you to, for people who don't know, if you're eating veal, it's a young cow. Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, you are kind of slaughtering a young cow.
You were kept in a box, right? Like, don't they keep them in a box to keep them small, like the Egyptians?
No, it's the age of the cow.
Oh, okay.
So they kind of get upset over the age of the cow, and it's a baby, and how dare you do that? But at the same time, like I've gotten into so many fights with people, and I've said, what's the difference between that cow growing up and you eating it as a cheeseburger instead of veal? Because veal is much more delicious than a cheeseburger. I'm sorry.
Kill that fucking thing anyway. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just more delicious.
So
and I do totally understand it. But for my thing is as someone who's been in the kitchen and been around and stuff like that, it doesn't. My thing is I don't advocate hunting for no reason. I don't advocate hurting animals for no reason. I don't advocate slaughtering animals for no reason.
Yeah.
If you're gonna have an animal, and especially if it's a baby cow, and you're gonna say I'm gonna make some veal cutlets out of it, you treat that animal you treat that animal with respect, and you make that dish the best thing that it can be, and that's all that it is.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So, yup.
But it's also like, I think it's more cruel when you do the cow because you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna raise you, you're gonna grow up, and then I'm gonna eat you one of these days.
You're gonna love me.
In a couple of years, I'm gonna fucking eat you. We're like the baby, you're just like, I'm gonna eat you next year.
Baby don't know no better. Baby's like, wow.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's more cool to be like, there's gonna be a cheeseburger that might be meth versus me eating you out over pasta with some sauce. Like, I'm sorry. I think it's more respectful for me to eat you while you're young. I'm good.
What about gyro? It's a gyro, whatever. It's a gyro, a fucking baby lamb, right? Like, same thing. Same thing.
As long as you're doing it right. I talked on my show about how killing lobsters and stuff like that. Like, how cruel is it to throw it in the pot versus cut it in half versus all this kind of stuff. And it's like, it's the same thing too as you think about a lobster. It's a crustacean. It really, which is it's the good thing for people.
Karly, you're breaking up.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
A little bit.
Can you hear me? Good. Okay.
Yeah. Lobster's just like a bug though, right? Isn't that just like a cockroach in the sea?
It's a crustacean.
Yeah.
So my kind of advocation right now is the understanding of eating animals, eating food, like we all do it. Like nobody goes to the grocery store and goes, oh my God, look at this meat section. But as soon as you talk about how it's done or what kind of animal it came from, then all of a sudden everybody's up in arms. And I know that's kind of a stance, but at the same time it's not.
I think the electrocution of the cows is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Don't they do that? Like.
No. There's things to do and there's things not to do. Of course, there's always going to be people who are doing it wrong, doing things they shouldn't. But as a whole,
yeah.
let me just, I want to make sure I got you here. You said as long as you treat the dish with respect, so like you don't care how they kill the animal, as long as you eat it right.
Yeah.
I don't care how you kill it. Don't make it. You don't have to kill an animal and let it suffer. There's plenty of ways to do that.
Yeah.
Treating the animal as a whole with respect, and I call it the circle of life, basically. The circle of life. You know, animals and all of us aren't meant to stay on this earth forever. And if we did leave all the animals on the earth, I'm sorry, there wouldn't be enough room for everybody. There really wouldn't.
I agree.
That's really what I say, but it's true. So, you know, as us, we're as a human species, we're basically carnivores, you know, so just do it right. You don't have to make an animal suffer, but we eat animals. That's what we do. I respect people who are vegans. I respect people who are vegetarians, and that's great. You know, whatever personal choice you make in your life, I think that's wonderful. But as a species as a whole, we're carnivores.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Hmm. What? We have another friend who calls. He's a chef. And he's talked about some crazy things he's seen in the kitchen. What is the craziest thing you've seen go down working in kitchens?
Oh, man. It's been, you know, it's always been a wonderful experience. What kind of stories do I have? Sorry, chefs, this is going to be weird, but line chefs can appreciate this. So it gets super hot in the kitchen. Like, I've been in kitchens where it's been 110, 120 20 degrees, like that kind of stuff. And I don't have I'll ask you guys since you're males and I'm not. They've done the things where the thing is to powder your balls with cornstarch.
I've never tried that. I've never tried that.
A little less chafing or something, I've been told.
You do get a rash. You do get that rash in the summer. It sucks. So maybe that's a trick.
So that used to be the thing. And I always used to laugh. Whatever. But I did have one day in the kitchen. We had a big line of like spices and powders and that kind of stuff. One of the line cooks mistakenly pulled the wasabi powder instead of the cornstarch.
Oh, no.
And let me tell you, that did not turn out very well for him. That's a true story.
Oh, jeez.
I don't know. I'm thinking about this, and like that sucks. But I'm also just thinking.
I'm thinking about a new bit, like Slim puts wasabi
I am
on
thinking
his
about
balls.
a new bit, but I'm also just thinking about just the thought of like, yeah, there's some cornstarch in your food, and those guys also use that cornstarch to put on the bra. Like it's not the same.
Is that what they're doing?
That way.
It's not the same like cornstarch. Like that cornstarch didn't touch their butt, but it came from the same box.
Is he using his ball hand to pinch some cornstarch in your cereal?
Yeah.
That cornstarch thickens your soup, all right? And then on his balls and thickens your soup. That's cool. Yeah, doesn't that happen everywhere? Isn't that commonplace?
This lobster bisque is extra tangy.
That's where that secret spice comes from, okay? Reaching that in there.
And do you feel that it's harder to earn respect in the industry as a woman compared to being a man as a chef?
I've answered this question a lot, and you know what it is? It is difficult. It is hard, and I think that as women sometimes we do make it harder on ourselves because we want to be treated a certain way, but you have to understand what environment you're in. I've never asked for special treatment because I'm a woman. I do understand, like, and it's the same thing that I say where there's certain women who go, hey, you know, I could play in the NFL. Well, no, you couldn't.
Yeah.
You know, it's just there are things in life where you're just not built for it.
Yeah.
We are not built the same way that men are built for the NFL. It's, you know, could there be that one person? Yeah, of course. There's always the outlier. There's always the anomaly. But it's the way that I feel about being in the kitchen is that, you know, cooking, anybody can cook. I have a lot of people that approach me all the time and go, oh, well, you know, you're so good, I could never cook for you. And I tell everybody, you can totally cook. Anybody can cook. It's not that difficult. It is a different animal cooking in a restaurant because you're going to get burnt. It's a very high stress environment, you know, and let's break it down too. The personalities that work in a restaurant kitchen are very rough personalities. You have to be able to put up with, basically, you know, kind of in all respects, physical, mental, verbal, and all that kind of stuff, a lot of abuse. And that's just the way that the culture is.
Yeah.
So, for me, I've never taken things seriously. I'm not that sensitive of a person. I do understand my physical shortcomings. Like, can I lift a sack of flour that's as much as a man could do? No, but I've always made sure to make up for it. I will work a line better than you can. I will stock a station better. I will clean a station better. I will saute better than you, and that kind of stuff. And I did gain respect in those respects. And there's a lot of women that work in kitchens that are phenomenal and understand that. But yeah, it is different because the only thing that makes it a little bit harder to it is not commonplace to have a woman in the kitchen. So you do get those looks all of a sudden when you come in, but you know what? It can be done as long as you're willing to kind of be in the environment and be part of the team and just act like you're one of the bunch, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm curious. You said the culture is like there's a lot of like verbal abuse and stuff like that. Like, what's a typical kitchen insult?
A typical cut. I don't know, man. We just make fun of everybody. You
just bust a balls. It's kind of like an athlete type thing. Like, yeah, where people just bust each other's balls. Or like comedians.
Yeah, it's to the extreme. It really is. But it's funny, Like, I mean, you give and you take. And if you can't take it, then you don't belong in that environment. I'm serious. And it's a hard thing to explain because I worked on a show like 4 years ago, and I would talk about stuff. I was like, oh man, like, if someone comes up to you and slaps your ass, like, not that big of a deal. Like, more often than not, it's just funny, like, kind of a thing. And the girl that I was on the show with, she was like, oh my God, that sounds horrendous. Like, you should go tell somebody about that. Like, a man can't do that to you, like, kind of stuff. And the thing that I've always said is it's not the action, it's the intent.
Right.
Like, like a guy who did that to me in the kitchen, because we're very close. When you work there, you're working all day. You get there, you're probably working 16 hours a day, 6-7 days a week. Like, it's a very tight-knit ship.
Yeah.
It's a guy who slapped my ass. It's probably somebody that I've been working next to 95 hours, and I don't look at it and go, oh my God, how dare you?
Yeah.
But I've had people try to explain that to them, and they're like, no. That's adding to a culture that we don't need in this world. And and I was like, I'm in the middle about that. Like, what I said before, it's the intent.
Yeah.
I don't think, in my world, like, I don't think we need to, there's things in the world to make big deals about.
That's true.
We don't need to make a big deal about, like, someone just walking by and be like, hey, babe, boom, like giving me just a whatever and being funny.
You can tell when people have that creepy intent.
You're going to get so many emails about this because I did.
I agree on it, though.
Like, we're not going to get any emails about this. No. Our fans.
Our fans are loving this. No, but it's true. Like, you can tell somebody if they're being, if they're being creepy or if they're just having fun.
Well, the way you're saying it too is like when you're in the kitchen, you're like family. So it's just like
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's the athlete thing. Like, athletes do that shit to each other.
Yeah.
So.
Right, and it's so high stress that there's just dumb moments where you do that stuff to each other and that kind of thing. But it's hard. It is. It's hard to explain. It is. Because I feel like for me, I felt like it used to be easy to explain, and then all of a sudden I started getting email after email about like, what are you talking about? Like, you're terrible for women. Like, how dare you? Like, don't you know that this happens in the world? And I'm like, oh God, I don't even.
Don't you know there was a protest? There was a big march. Like,
yeah.
You're the reason bad things happen to women.
You and Trump, Carly. You guys are
but then again, at the same time, when you also talk to women on the flip side of that, you go, well, why don't you think that we're taken seriously in an environment like that? Because that's how it is, and you clearly take everything too seriously. And and I am going to put the addendum on it too. I'm very, very, very pro woman.
Yeah.
Like, I am, but it's hard for me in this day and age to see where everybody wants to be on both sides of the coin, where don't you dare treat me like that, but give me everything.
Yeah.
And I don't even think that's women. I think that's children nowadays. I think that's actually everybody nowadays, where I'm like, where did we I was the way that I was raised. I had my first job, like I told you before, I was 14. Like, you work for what you have. I don't understand where we got, don't treat me this way, give me everything.
Yeah, I don't know. Everybody, the world is a completely different place anymore. It really is. Everybody deserves everything. Just hand it to them. Like, it's weird. It's weird.
What did I write? I wrote on Facebook today, and I think it's completely true. It said, remember when we collectively as a country, our biggest upset was the fact that we ran out of Twinkies. Do you remember that?
Yes, I remember that. Yes.
Like, is that not the good old days now? Like, holy shit now. Like, everything we're complaining about. Remember in the news, that's all it was for weeks on end. We're running out of Twinkies.
Yes.
That's what was serious to us.
I think there was
and we rallied as a country, because let me tell you, we're American heroes. That shit was back on the shelves in 6 months. What the fuck?
Yeah.
I always said too, Carl, you're the same age as me, and I feel like our generation, like the people our age, like we were in this weird transition period.
You guys
we were just in the middle of like all the bullshit.
Yes. But we got the best of both worlds, too, because we had the kind of non-social media, and now we're getting the post-social media where it's kind of, like, blowing my mind about how everything works now. But at least we got to see a little bit of how the world works before that stuff was kind of indoctrinated into everything. But, oh, my God. Lots to talk about.
It still drives me crazy that, like, I don't even see kids playing out in the streets anymore. And like when I was growing up, that's all we did. We were outside like all the time, and if you see them outside, they're on their phones now. And it's like I mean, I'm on my phone a lot too now, but it's still like that's so crazy,
Yeah, and I'm on my phone too a lot now, especially because of what we do. Like, it's very social media, like internet based and that kind of stuff. But I mean, it blows my mind to see, a 7-year-old with an iPhone, and their parents are like, well, I have to keep in contact with them. I'm like, what? I'm like, listen, I didn't have a cell phone until I was 18. Like, I didn't get raped. I didn't get murdered. I'm okay. Like, what makes your kid? Who's your kid calling? Tell me. Who's your kid got to call? I want to know, because I want to call him too and be like, what are you calling the 7-year-old for?
I didn't have
stop calling 7-year-olds.
I didn't have internet access until I was 18.
Not even like the little dial-up where you're trying to be on the internet and your mom's yelling at you because you're on the internet. She wants to use the phone.
No, my parents didn't even get that. I didn't even have that.
I was in my 20s when the internet was invented, or when it was mainstream.
Someone has to make like a trap song out of that dial-up tone. I'm surprised. I'm so surprised it hasn't happened yet.
Karly, what's your podcast? Super Retro?
Super Retro is the one that I'm on right now. That I just co-host on that. My own like real personal one is Hot in the Kitchen. That's gonna be on iTunes for a second season. Starting next week, I did take a couple years off of that one, but bringing it back, rebooting it. So Hot in the Kitchen, you can find it on Facebook, and then I'm also starting a third one, which is going to be more cultural conversation, which I'm excited to do again. Okay. That's called My So-Called Friends. It's going to be on the BS network with the BS Boston sports nerds and that kind of thing. So you can find out more information too, www.karlykingsley.com.
Cool. And that's starting up soon?
Next week. Yep. Awesome. Next Monday.
Cool. And what is Dirt Sugar Media?
Dirt Sugar Media is so that's actually what I do during the day. Basically, since I went to culinary school and I did a lot in journalism, social media, and podcasts, and all the kind of stuff, it's hard for me to explain to some people to make them fully understand, but if you understand the social media age and that kind of stuff, I've kind of done a riff on that. I have different companies that give me their product. I have a pasta company, I have a very large chocolate company, I have a very large vodka company, which I can't really say their names. But I take their product and I do a lot of recipe development for them. Then I photograph it and I kind of put them on different social media channels or help them kind of put certain things on the internet where people can see them to promote their product.
Cool.
So lots of basically social media marketing.
Awesome. Karly, thank you so much. We have to wrap this up. Again, where can everybody find you?
Any information, www.karlykingsley.com. Basically the easiest.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
No problem. Have a good one.
You too.